Great. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to represent the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids at this great event. So today I'll be talking about e-cigarettes, a new threat to youth. We've seen e-cigarette use rates skyrocket among youth, and so I just want to talk a little bit about some of the data and the trends, how we got here, and what we can do moving forward. So just a little bit about the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. So we are a leading force in the fight against tobacco and its deadly toll in the United States and around the world. And so our vision is ultimately a future free of death and disease caused by tobacco. And so we work to save lives by advocating for public policies that will prevent kids from smoking, help smokers quit, and then protect everyone from secondhand smoke. So I wanted to give a quick overview of our youth advocacy program at the campaign. So we have 5 main projects that we work on. So we have Kick Butts Day, which is our National Day of Activism. And it's a great rallying point for youth across the country and around the world to really speak up, stand up, and seize control against the tobacco industry. We have the Youth Engagement Alliance, which is our adult coordinator network, and that's really dedicated to providing the support, networking, and the technical assistance for all adults working with youth in tobacco control. We have our National Youth Ambassador Program, which is our youth action network composed of dedicated youth leaders who represent their states, and they have done really amazing work in their states and communities. And so we bring them to DC for our symposium, and they receive ongoing training and technical assistance throughout the year. We have our Youth Advocate of the Year Awards, where we honor exemplary youth advocates who receive scholarships and grants to continue their work and serve as leaders in the tobacco control movement on the national stage. And we have our Youth Advocacy Training Program, which is Taking Down Tobacco, which is a comprehensive training program that educates, empowers, and engages youth in the fight against tobacco through online and in-person trainings. So Taking Down Tobacco is a youth training program online, completely free, and we educate on the issue of tobacco as well as really educating and help build advocacy skills for youth who are interested in not only tobacco control but other issues that they are really passionate about. So we focus on education and skills development. So Kick Butts Day is our National Day of Activism, where we empower youth to really stand up, speak out, and seize control against big tobacco. So this year, Kick Butts Day was March 20th, a couple weeks ago, and this year we really focused the attention on the need to reverse the skyrocketing youth use rate of Juul and other e-cigarettes. And we had over 1,000 events across the country and in 6 countries around the world, and there were some great events here in Delaware as well. So I wanted to give a quick shout out to Kick Butts Generation, which is the statewide youth movement here in Delaware, working to put an end to tobacco and nicotine use. They've been a great partner to work with through Kick Butts Day, as well as Youth Engagement Alliance and Taking Down Tobacco. And they provide training and host events throughout the state for youth. And this May, they'll be doing a turquoise takeover, so they'll be taking action and turning Delaware turquoise to spread awareness about lung cancer. So to find out more information about them, visit their website, which is kbgde.org. So I wanted to start off today by really talking about the current climate of what the tobacco rates look like among youth, and also looking at some data and trends. So over the past about 18 years, we've made a significant progress on reducing youth smoking rate. So from 2000 to 2018, we've seen a 71% decrease, and within the past 7 years, we've seen a 49% decrease among youth cigarette smoking. So there's been a lot of great progress made so far, but we have seen that e-cigarettes are starting to threaten that progress. So the National Youth Tobacco Survey started asking questions on e-cigarettes in 2011, and so we've seen a significant increase of e-cigarette use among youth nationally within the past 7 years. But just within the past year, we've seen a 78% increase among high school students using e-cigarettes in the past 30 days. And not only have we seen an increase in e-cigarette use, but we've seen an increase in any tobacco use as well. So over 3.6 million high school and middle school students currently use e-cigarettes. So e-cigarettes have become the most popular tobacco product among youth, surpassing cigarettes 5 years in a row. And we've seen 27.7% of high school e-cigarette users use the product frequently on at least 20 of the 30 preceding days. So not only have they become more popular in just trying, but we've seen more youth become frequent users as well. We've also seen youth e-cigarette use be associated with the initiation of combustible tobacco use. And from 2013 to 2016, youth e-cigarette use was associated with more than 4 times the odds of trying cigarettes and nearly 3 times the odds of current cigarette use. So this translates to over 43,000 current youth cigarette smokers who might not have become smokers without e-cigarettes. And the increase in e-cigarette use has driven a 30% increase in use of any tobacco product among high school students. So an increase from 19.6% in 2017 to 27.1% in 2018. So we've also seen that e-cigarette availability is increasing overall youth tobacco use, including among low-risk youth. So we're seeing that e-cigarette use is even associated with trying cigarettes among youth who might not have even ever tried cigarettes before. And all this data caught the attention of both the U.S. Surgeon General and the former FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb, who both declared the youth e-cigarette use as an epidemic. So we have seen the tobacco companies use flavored tobacco products as a starter kit, as a starter product to really attract youth. And we have seen the same as they really market their flavored products towards flavored products of e-cigarettes and cigars to youth as well. We know that 7 out of 10 current e-cigarette users have said that they used a flavored product because they like the flavors that come in. There are over 7,000 flavors currently available, and that also doesn't count flavors that customers can create in different vape stores as well. And these flavors come in really youth-friendly flavors like mango, gummy bears. We've heard of unicorn, vomit, like lollipops. So there's a lot of different ones. And not only are the flavors marketed, the packaging is also marketed very similar to candy and youth-friendly products as well. So we know that flavored e-cigarettes are very popular among youth. 97% of current youth e-cigarette users had used a flavored e-cigarette in the past month. And 70.3% of youth e-cigarette users say that they use e-cigarettes because they come in the flavor I like. We've even seen an increase in the use of menthol and mint flavored e-cigarettes among high school students, increasing from 42.3% in 2017 to 51.2% in 2018. So nicotine salts are high levels of nicotine that are inhaled more easily with less irritation than free-base nicotine, which is found in other traditional combustible cigarettes, as well as some other e-cigarettes. And specifically Juul, their pods contain Juul salt. And so this is concerning because for young people, because it can make it easier for them to initiate the use of nicotine through products like Juul, and could also make it easier to progress to regular e-cigarettes and could lead to nicotine dependence as well. So what's in an e-cigarette aerosol? We know it's not just harmless water vapor. We know that there is nicotine in the aerosol. We know that there are some volatile organic compounds, some cancer-causing chemicals, heavy metals, flavorings, and ultrafine particles. So it's not just harmless, it's not just water vapor. So why are we concerned? So we know that nicotine exposure during adolescence can cause addiction and can harm the developing adolescent brain. We know that e-cigarette aerosol is not just harmless water vapor, and we know that there's substantial evidence that e-cigarette use can increase the risk of ever using combustible tobacco cigarettes among youth and young adults. And one of the products that have really led to this skyrocketing youth e-cigarette rate is Juul. And so these are just some pictures of Juul. So we know that Juul is an e-cigarette. It's shaped as a USB. You can charge it in a computer. It's about this big, so you can hold it in the palm of your hand and easily conceal it. And we know that from a 2018 study that nearly 1/5 of youth surveyed reported having seen Juul in their schools. And we do a lot of youth trainings, our team throughout the country, and we always ask the youth if they've seen Juul, and we see most hands go up. And then we ask if they have seen Juuls in their schools, we see most hands stay up, and we ask if they know at least one person who uses Juul in school, and we see most hands stay up. So Juul is a very popular product, and it's being used in schools widely, and we have heard that, and we have seen that from the data as well. So the use of Juul is called juuling, and so we know that Juul e-cigarettes contain a high level of nicotine, so one Juul pod contains the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes, so about 20 cigarettes. These Juul nicotine refills are called the pods. And they're available in several flavors such as cucumber, fruit medley, mango, mint. They also have menthol and tobacco flavor as well. So Juul became available in the United States in 2015, and then by 2017 became the top-selling e-cigarette brand of the United States. So there's no official national prevalence data, or existing e-cigarette prevalence data is not recent enough to capture Juul's increase in the market share, but we know that 1/4 of youth and young adult Juul users don't refer to Juul as e-cigarette use or vaping, but rather as juuling. So they don't even see Juul as a tobacco or nicotine product. They just see it as a device that produces harmless water vapors and comes in fun, cool flavors. And 63% of youth and young adult Juul users don't even know that Juul pods always contain nicotine. So we've seen national media outlets, including the New York Times and the Washington Post, really highlight not only the popularity among youth, but also the schools and how much that the administrators and school resource officers are struggling to contain Juul, and also youth who are struggling with addiction now that they have used Juul and have become addicted to nicotine. This is a really great New York Times article about a now young adult who started using Juul when he was a youth because it was cool, it was sneaky, it had like a cool factor to it, and became hooked on nicotine and now struggles with nicotine addiction. So from the local to the national level, we've seen Juul use skyrocket. We've seen people struggling to contain it, to even know what it is, because they just look like USBs. So if you didn't know what you're looking for, you really wouldn't know what a Juul is. We've also seen Juul's share of the market rise astronomically. It's become the leading e-cigarette brand in the country. As most have decreased, we've seen the share of Juul increase significantly. And schools are trying to figure out also what to do and how to really contain and respond to the e-cigarette and Juul epidemic. So we've seen a lot of different ways that schools are handling it. So they're using camera surveillance in the bathrooms because a lot of students tend to go to the bathroom and Juul, so the Juul bathrooms have become Juul lounges, or locker rooms have become Juul lounges. So they've used cameras. They've also limited the number of students who can use the restroom at once and also the time that they can attend the restroom. They've had teacher assignments. Some places have removed the bathroom doors just so it would be a little bit more obvious who is jeweling or not. And some schools are still trying to figure it out. So how did we get here? So I want to talk a little bit about the power of Juul's design and their social media marketing tactics that they used. So Juul's delivery of high levels of nicotine to youth increases the risk of dependence and addiction. So the rise of Juul shouldn't surprise anyone because we've seen their sleek, high-tech design. It's easy to conceal, and it also leaves no telltale odor on a user's breath. We've heard stories of youth who used their Juuls during class and their teachers don't notice because they can just puff it and then use it, the smoke doesn't linger, and then they can just kind of hide it or just plug it back into their computer. It's directed its marketing to social media used by adolescents, so it has really used Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube to really market its product. And it's used images that associate Juul with being cool, hip, having fun, freedom, and sex appeal. So the solution really requires FDA to adopt rules governing the entire industry because we know that voluntary action won't work for e-cigarettes because we saw that voluntary action didn't work for cigarettes. So Juul executives have claimed that they didn't want underage kids to use their products, all the things you see on social media, that they have nothing to do with it and that they're actively trying to take it down, that their products are only for adults who are trying to quit smoking, but we know that the facts could not be any more different. We saw that Juul launched its product with a campaign using images that are virtually the same long used by the cigarette industry. We saw that Juul paid for a social media campaign using Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, using sponsored ambassadors and influencers, supplemented by social media promoted by other Juul vendors as well. So Juul spent at least $1.6 million on marketing its launch. We saw that they promoted their products on Instagram. They used Twitter to promote their flavors. They used billboards, so this is a billboard in Times Square, a very visible location, really promoting their product. They used advertising in magazines. They used vibrant colors, fashion statements. Yeah, it's very appealing and it looks very harmless. They also had a strategy to supplement their launch with social media as well. So they used a lot of sponsored content. So they would sponsor content on different website stories and blogs. They paid social media influencers who have high numbers of followers to promote their product and would cross-share images and sponsored posts on the Juul accounts as well. So this is just one influencer that was paid by Juul to promote Juul. And this social media influencer, when she was interviewed after, said that she had no idea that Juul contained nicotine and thought it was supposed to be an adult cessation product. So we saw that just on Instagram, we saw that there was a lifestyle appeal that they really used, of freedom, sex appeal, social success. They used fashion images, they used flavored images, they used product images to really build their social media account and to make it really friendly. And then we know that on Instagram, it's really easy. Everything is connected, so it's really easy to find things to be tagged in it and for things to circulate. So it's not surprising that they used Instagram to really promote their product. And we also saw that official Juul accounts were supplemented by other Juul vendors and other related accounts as well. So a lot of the very popular Juul accounts are actually not run by Juul, but run by other accounts or online outlets. Some of the most popular ones that have the most followers are not run by Juul, but they have high number of followers, and with hashtags and tagging, it's easy to connect them all. So these are just some of the posts that we saw from some of these other accounts. So ways to conceal your Juul in a Sharpie. presentations on concealing or on regulating Juul in schools, also just other ways that Juul really became prevalent in schools. People were talking about it and like letting other people know this is what my school is doing, so watch out for it. So that was all happening on social media. And we also saw that social media growth, especially with tweets, highly correlated with Juul sales. So these are the number of Juul-related tweets that we saw on Twitter from 2015 to 2017, and there's a high rise in 2017, which is also when we saw the increase, or Juul's market share increase significantly as well. So FDA did challenge the company, and Juul did say that they will stop using models in social media to promote its product in 2018, but you can't really put the genie back into the bottle. It's having created the problem and really denied their role. Juul's decision to stop its marketing campaign won't really solve the problem or prevent it from happening again, because it's already happening. And this isn't just Juul too. We've seen Juul copycats already hitting the market, and Juul's demonstration of the power of social media as a marketing tool is guaranteed to be followed by others as well. So the Juul problem was caused by one company acting extremely irresponsibly, and then, like the cigarette companies, denying any responsibility of the problem. So we know that it will only be solved if FDA takes steps to prevent any company from ever doing it ever again. So due to not only public backlash, but backlash from public health officials as well, Juul started changing its social media policies. So they now no longer use Instagram to promote their products. But like I said before, it's too little, too late. The damage has already been done. And they actually have stopped selling their kid-friendly flavors such as cucumber and mango, and fruit. They don't sell those in their brick and mortar stores anymore. They only sell those online. The only flavored pods sold in stores now are mint, menthol, and tobacco. So, yeah. These are some of the Juul copycats and new products. So we can kind of see they're being designed in a very, very similarly to how Juul is, very sleek, concealable, fun colors, very high-tech looking. And we've also seen Juul-compatible devices and flavor pods. So Juul isn't the only company that's making Juul pods or pods compatible with Juul as well. So how do we address this epidemic that we're facing? So the FDA final deeming rule was issued in 2016 and was effective August 6, 2018. So this deeming rule covering e-cigarettes, it covers some minimum age requirements in person, some product registration and ingredient reporting, warning label requirements that were delayed until last summer, and also product review applications, but doesn't cover child-proof packaging, flavors, self-service, and marketing restrictions. Last fall, the Surgeon General released an advisory that declared e-cigarette use by youth an epidemic. It called for aggressive steps to protect our children from these highly potent products that risk exposing a new generation of young people to nicotine, and provides information for parents, teachers, health professionals to address the problem. And also calls on states, communities, tribes, and territories to implement evidence-based strategies such as including e-cigarettes in smoke-free air laws, licensing retailers, curbing e-cigarette marketing, reducing access to flavored products. But the FDA law doesn't change each state's right to implement and enforce smoke-free air laws, and to expand those smoke-free laws to include e-cigarettes, to also apply tobacco taxes to e-cigarettes, to take action to restrict the sale and distribution of e-cigarettes, so increasing the minimum sale age to tobacco to 21 like Delaware has done, along with 10 other states and 400 municipalities, to restrict flavors and also self-service displays and placements, and also to pass licensing requirements. So we've seen that 15 states now include e-cigarettes in their smoke-free laws, along with 700 plus localities. We've seen 9 states include e-cigarettes in their current tobacco tax, along with 4 localities. And there are over 180 localities working and have passed some sort of flavor restrictions, and we have more localities working on flavor restrictions and bans currently. So some non-policy activities that are being done, so prevalence surveys, so introduction of new products and resulting changes in tobacco use trends required improved and more detailed surveillance, monitoring new product releases, monitoring compliance with FDA regulations, monitoring store marketing and promotions, including ads and pricing, watching for harm reduction proposal, and to share what you find. We are always reaching out to the FDA, letting them know these are some of the ads that we've seen, these are some of the new products we're hearing from the field, so you can do that as well. So I just wanted to share a few resources that are out there that focus on prevention as well as education. So there are some great resources from the Office of the U.S. Surgeon General, really educating on the risks and the facts, providing some sheets for healthcare professionals, for parents, for teachers to really address and be able to talk with young people about this issue. So the Truth Initiative has a great e-cigarette quit program via text, and so for youth who might be struggling with nicotine addiction, they can actually use this quit line to kind of walk them through via text, so they don't have to call a quit line, but it's an automated text program. The FDA recently came out with an education program kind of expanding on their real costs. So the real cost of vaping, they have great materials, fact sheets, video. They have really great compelling videos. And they're really working in the schools and partnering with schools to really promote this education campaign as well. The FDA has also worked with Scholastic to provide resources for teachers as well as curriculum, infographic materials, research to help teachers to be able to address this problem in their classroom. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has great resources as well. Their fact sheets are always up to date with the most updated data. They have great infographics, and they have this new, it's not like you can buy a new brain ad campaign that they're running as well. So we actually partnered with Young Minds Inspire to put Taking Out Tobacco as a lesson plan for middle schoolers. And so Taking Out Tobacco is another great resource for middle school teachers to talk about vaping and e-cigarettes in their classrooms. And Stanford Medicine has a great tobacco prevention toolkit that focuses on e-cigarettes and vape, as well as Catch My Breath, which is a youth cigarette prevention program. Great curriculum online as well. So yeah, I just want to thank you all so much for your time. I can answer any questions now or during the break.